A new analysis by Georgetown University researchers identifies 5 clusters in the U.S. with high rates of unvaccinated people, most of them in the South. These clusters could keep the pandemic alive because they often become breeding grounds for variants that might be able to ultimately outsmart the vaccine. Let's bring in CNN senior medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen. What's happening here, Elizabeth?
John, if you think of a pandemic as kind of like a fire, the fire's been getting better, right? But there is some dry kindling wood in parts of the United States that are just ready to, unfortunately, potentially reignite this all over again. And we do not want to go back, of course, to 2020. Here's the problem. The unvaccinated people in the United States, about a third of the country, they're not evenly distributed. If they were, then the vaccinated among us could kind of protect them. Unfortunately, they're clustered together. So researchers at Georgetown University took a look at all the data, and what they found was these 5 significant clusters of under-vaccinated folks. You can see they are mostly in the southeastern United States, going a bit into southern Missouri. But that's where the clusters are. That's where that dry kindling wood is that could reignite this pandemic and make things difficult for us because it encourages, as you mentioned, these variants. The more it spreads, the more variants arise. The more variants arise, the more we might get a variant that would be resistant to the vaccine. Let's take a look at the nature of these clusters and what we know about them. When you put these 5 clusters together, you have about 15 million people. It's largely in the southeast. In these clusters, the vaccination rate is only 28% for fully vaccinated. Nationally, it's 48%. And what's interesting is that 92% of the counties in these clusters have less than 100,000 people. So there are a few bigger cities such as Amarillo, Texas, or Montgomery, Alabama, but for the most part, these are relatively small counties that, when clumped together, form these potentially dangerous clusters.